Welcome to the Trisbrina Show. It is Thursday, April 2nd. And I only know that because I look at my watch because every day is Wednesday now.
Every day. Sometimes we don't know what day it is, what time it is. We're just going with Wednesday. So we've got a lot in store for today. Last week was a lot of fun. We did a happy hour and we shared a couple of Qigong moves that help you to boost your immune system. And today is no different.
And we made masks out of a brassiere.
That's right.
So let's not forget the highlight.
That's right. That's right. Well, today there will be some training to help you release any type of tight constriction around the lungs. Something that's going to be helpful if you have some constriction already, if you've got stale, stuck breath, and we want to really help to charge, if you will, and tonify the lung capacity, but also what to do if the lungs become compromised. We'll talk about how certain things can do that. Obviously, there's a virus going around that can really put a lot of constriction on the lungs, and there may be some things we can do, in fact, I know there are, if our lungs need more protection.
Right, and we're also going to talk about, I'll call it reframing. Well, the only reason we need to reframe something is because you put it in the wrong frame to begin with, right?
Change that frame.
If I put a picture in a frame and I'm like, I don't really like it in that frame, I have to reframe it. We're going to speak a little bit about the benefits of reframing, or really looking at the frame that you have around certain situations that are going on right now, and the power of that, and also how positive thinking is just really old school, and what we can do now that's way more current.
Way more better?
Way.
Okay, cool. So let's...
Are you ready?
Let's jump in.
If you're ready, you have to give us hearts, because
we want to love heart
it's been
shower.
a very long day, which you'll hear about.
It has been a really long day.
We haven't even seen each other today since like 8 a.m.
It's true. Well, we did some drive-bys.
Yeah, in the house.
Hi, Lindy. Hi, Pam. Hello, Debbie. All of the peoples are here. We're just trying to track this
Yeah,
thing
look
here.
at those beautiful little hearts. I see.
Here they come. Thank you. Hi, Elizabeth. Carolyn, I saw you. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Whoop.
I saw you earlier, too. Hello, Debbie. I say, you may wonder why I said Debbie, because Keith and Rita, Sabrina's parents, sometimes they'll say Debbie, because when she was a little girl, she was a Debbie. But they don't say Debbie, they say Debbie.
When I was acting, well, even before that, when I was born. So what shall we talk about first?
I like the reframe.
Me
Let's
too.
Let's reframe.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So here's a thought.
Big thought.
Well, first let me ask you guys a question. Those of you who are here live, if you're watching the replay in a place that you can post a comment, I really, really, really would love to hear your thoughts on this. What are you doing right now? What have you embraced? What has happened in your life that's moved you forward into areas that you might have been afraid of before, but because of the situation that's happening in the world right now, you are moving into faster than you ever thought possible? Or what are you allowing yourself to do with your time? So what I'm saying is, what is something amazing, expansive, different that you would never have thought you'd be doing right now 3 weeks ago?
That's great.
I know for me, it's crazy, all the things that I can say. So while we wait for you to type, I shall share.
Oh, Goddess Sabrina, please do tell us what has changed in your life from this catalytic experience.
I have always wanted to try to live stream my dance fitness classes, but it was so convenient just to get up and drive to the local brick and mortar studio and teach. And I just didn't think it would be the same. And you know what? It isn't the same. It's not the same. I like the floor of the brick and mortar dojo better than the tile. Okay, so now I have something to desire. Now I desire to move into a house where I have a studio.
Ah, I like your desire.
Oh my gosh, this situation has sparked desires for me to expand. I really like teaching virtually. It's fun.
Yeah.
It takes me just about as much time to set up my equipment as it does to drive, like 15 minutes. But I know that's going to get faster and faster. And I see the potential that instead of the room being jam-packed at 20, I can have 500 people.
That's awesome.
So that's really expansive, and just um, feeling. What's that weird sound?
Hang on, gang. That is really
Cobra.
weird.
There's a cobra in the room. There's a snake.
Some very weird thing going on here.
Do you guys hear a hiss, or is it just us?
No, it's going on.
Maybe close
Sorry,
iTunes.
sorry. It won't turn off.
Please stand by. Please stand by.
Our apologies.
That was just a warning. If
Warning.
it had been real,
Do
we would
not
have
leave
let
this
you
channel.
Go. Other things like, and we're going to
There's
read
a
what
lot
you're
coming
posting.
through
I'm
here.
really excited. I had been wanting to, okay, this is a confession.
True confessions.
True confessions, even to you, although you know me so, you know me.
I know you
well.
so well.
You know, when you have a partner and you're used to doing things together without knowing, let's say even just grocery shopping. You grocery shop with your special person, with your significant other, with your partner, with your best friend. One of you gets the cart, one of you doesn't. One of you grabs the things, one of you doesn't. One does the checkout, one does usually the credit card. There's these roles that get assigned to each person that make things flow really, really well. And all of a sudden I realized when I had to take a trip, when I chose to take a trip by myself, like 5 weeks ago? Something like that. I realized I haven't gone anywhere by myself in 12 years. I don't know how to carry a suitcase. I don't even have a thing to put my laptop in because Tristan carries it. Right now, he wouldn't know how to check in because I do that. Right?
Wouldn't know how, whatever.
Or what seat do I sit in if I'm not the middle seat? Because I always go the middle seat so he can have the window. And I realized that as beautiful as the partnership is, I always want to come to that with a strength of, hey, you do this and I do that. We're both really strong and we support each other. And I felt that I had gotten afraid in some areas. I was afraid to be alone. I was afraid to travel by myself. I don't know how to call an Uber. There was all this awkwardness, and stepping into that and moving into that within like 48 hours, I was like, I am woman, I am invincible.
Woo! So
anyway, that has carried over into these times, into launching this group that we told everyone about. And I went live for the first time by myself today. And I'm doing things that
You went live the first time
That was the first time I've been solo live.
But you've been doing it every morning.
Oh, in those classes.
She's
but
got
in that
two
group.
groups. She's failed to tell you there's two new groups that she has.
Yeah.
So
within
she
last
has the
week.
Connection Tribe now. She's running that, and she has her Dance Fitness
My
Tribe.
paid group, yeah.
So yes, that's right.
Yeah, but I would have procrastinated. All of that couldn't have happened without this catalyst invitation. So what are other people saying?
Well, there's a lot going on. The first one I saw come through was decluttering. Maria's decluttering. That is awesome. See, keeping ourselves engaged and positive. Decluttering's made a big difference in our home and our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Way more Zen flow happening here. Carolyn says cooking 3 meals at home. Cool. Cooking, that's out of my department. I can heat things. Beth says expansive online teaching. That's right. Beth and Doug are 2 of our certified Qigong instructors. They are also singing coaches, and they've taken their trainings online like we do.
Allison, I don't know if she's here. She has 2.
She's doing that too.
Bonnie, so many of our Qigong instructors
Janine
are
is
like
starting to with dog training, I think.
rock stars right now.
Laura says giving myself permission to relax. You know, sometimes we were sharing this in class this morning. You know, when the body gets sick, right? When you are going through something, you have to take a day or 2 off. Sometimes that's that inner being saying, hey, you need to slow down a little bit. Let's take some time, right? It's a recalibration period. So a lot of us are getting big recalibration period. Radhika says, major decluttering. My kitchen is so neat and tidy now.
I keep hearing about that.
It's a good thing to be doing. Like, you know, clean out the stuff. Let's see. Karen says, Sabrina, what about temporarily using the floor that they use in stages? The Marley mat. Yeah, it's something we've considered. It just won't fit in our space, we don't think. So
But a little piece of Marley might.
that might work. Anne
Thank
says
you.
she had to come back early from yoga month in Mexico, so we are quarantined. My husband and I have continued to do the same yoga, meditation, and meal routines.
Oh.
And your husband stays at home. Yeah, there's a everybody's at home, right?
Jane says she's teaching more one-on-one virtual qigong classes. How cool is that? I see that happening a lot. I saw our friend Marie Asraf was taking a
Pilates.
one-on-one Pilates class. So you don't have to go online or go virtual to teach a bunch of people. It can just be to help one person at a time. And that's another thing this has sparked us to do. I spent the whole day with my friend Kim Walsh Phillips figuring out ways to help more people take their businesses online and go virtual.
Absolutely. And I want to give kudos to Anne for staying in flow with the routines that you were doing in Mexico. And that's a big deal for me, right? I'm so used to a particular rhythm of going to the studio, going to a dojo, going to the gym, going on my trips and things that I do to stay healthy. And so, not that stopped though. I started taking people up onto a rooftop with my Mini Cooper and to keep the trainings going. I'm doing all kinds of things, having to shift gears, but to continue to live the life that I love and not let things throw this off. I am eating more cookies because somebody has been baking.
Because the
multiple
produce
times.
is so valuable right now, so I buy a bunch of bananas. Literally, isn't that funny? It's a bunch of bananas, but it is a bunch of bananas.
It's a bunch of bananas.
And they're like, oh, they're going ripe. I have to make cookies. Oh no, the next bunch, because I don't want to waste them because I'm trying not to go to the store.
These are awesome. This is awesome feedback. So everybody's really...
Look at Dee Terrell. She's teaching dance classes for kids.
The world has changed, right? As far as the whole online thing, there's more people online now. Look at us, all of us together right now, connecting in this way than there's ever been before, right? Like, it's never going to be the same. In fact, a friend of ours, Deb, in San Diego, said that we jumped forward like 10 years.
Yeah, like within 1 week, like society has jumped forward what would take 10 years for people to have the courage to embrace virtual, to step into teaching virtual, consuming virtual. So many people are consuming all their data virtually who before would have been, I'm anti-tech. But you take everything away and now it's never going to go back to the way it was. I think there will be those opportunities for face-to-face, but I think that people are going to get so used to the virtual that's going to be so highly valuable.
Trudy's doing an online retreat with Adayashanti. He's a beautiful soul. I've seen him years ago when we were kind of, doing our spiritual retreats and that journey, watching his evolution. He's a beautiful soul. How awesome is that?
Yeah, I relate to what Bonnie's saying about her and Janine, because a lot of people are still working their full-time jobs from home. And then some people have their kids at home because the kids can't go to school and they're trying to facilitate homeschool and in addition grow and expand. So a lot of us, I feel busier than ever in a way that I really, really love because I feel called to serve, and that feels really exciting.
I like what Sandy's sharing. My mind isn't doing cartwheels about the future and or the past. I'm really living moment to moment.
That's great.
It sounds like she says it's so different for me, as if the weight of worrisome thoughts and all those woulda, shoulda, coulda no longer talk back to me. Wow, so you've really used this to expand yourself into now.
Yeah. That's
gorgeous. Beautiful stuff. Thank you, everybody. Taking more online courses. Yeah. Online is where it's at. This is the future. So let's continue with this future.
Yeah, and if we could just take a minute to say thank you, God bless, and thank you to the people who are really keeping everything moving, all those people who are going to the grocery stores, helping us to have food, the people who are still out and about delivering things to our homes. That's probably really scary for their families. Actually, Kelly LeMay, someone that I spoke to today, her husband is the head and manager of a produce department at a grocery store, and she has little kids. So, there's all of that. There's people who are really expanding into a place of service. They never thought, I'm a produce manager. They never saw themselves as the hero that they are right now.
And if you think about police officers, military, people who protect our country today, we really have to take a moment to say thank you to the nurses and the doctors and the care providers and the people who are putting their life on the line in this way, if you will, to serve and protect. So beautiful. These incredible people. So let's all globally just send them love and gratitude.
And not forget, wouldn't it be amazing if we can keep that gratitude going even after this whole thing's going to pass, and that we remember the gratitude for the doctors, the nurses, the people delivering our mail, the trash men, the people at the grocery stores, so that we can keep that gratitude, that we can keep the appreciation for being able to go and sit in a movie theater with a group of people, that we can keep the appreciation for a physical touch and a hug, that we can keep that value of that we can keep the appreciation for being together around people when they're getting married, that we can commune physically together. Let's hold space for that it never becomes taken advantage of again, that this is the catalyst for us to really appreciate more.
Yeah, because we're all expanding, like you said, the grand reframe is, let's look at all the things that you're finding time to do and the connections that are hopefully being cultivated, people having more time with their loved ones, and that sticks, that stays, that we receive the big wake-up call here, and we use it in whatever way we can. I'm finding us being incredibly prolific right now to step up. So Sabrina and I for years worked on ourselves, right? And that's great. But then there was a point where we're full of love. It's time to share and share. We were teaching dance and martial arts and things like that, which was really cool. But there was more that wanted to be birthed, right? More around healing, more around expanding consciousness, more about sharing love, and more about connection. And so we were like, let's step in to these shoes and let's walk in these shoes and be lover, leader, that we want to be. And so we're holding each other to that.
Yeah.
We're stepping up. We're stepping in with more love. We're producing more than we've ever produced.
Yeah.
It's amazing to rise.
Yep. And if I could just say, in case you feel this way too, nice.
Is it coming?
Choked up thinking about it.
No. Take a moment. Or don't.
For me, there's never not that part that feels not ready. There's never that part that so needs to protect itself, right? Maybe it's a part in the brain that needs to survive that says, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Just a little bit longer. I don't know enough. Not smart enough. Not quite coordinated enough. Almost. Just give me some time. Just someone else could be better. There's all of that. And at the same time, moving forward. And to me, that's what's making this time period so beautiful, because I have chosen great faith. I have chosen to devote my life to seeing the beauty, because my natural tendency, whatever that means, natural tendency, genetics, upbringing, who knows, is to worry and to panic. And I just told Tristan before we went live, I'm still dealing a little bit with that voice at 3 o'clock in the morning that says, hey, wait a minute, you always told the dogs you would be with them in their last moment. What if something happens and right now they won't let you in the vet? What am I going to do? What am I going to do if something happens to one of my parents right now and they won't let me in the hospital? And my brain feeds me these horrible situations of what am I going to do? what am I going to do if something happens to our business and I can't pay this person and that person, and what just everything, like the most horrible things I can imagine.
Take it off.
It's feeding me, and so it's making that part of me, that part that's in faith. And I'm not talking like some kind of mamby-pamby, you gotta have faith. No, no. Faith to know that I am completely taken care of. Before I know the problem even exists, the situation has already been accessed and the problem is already solved. That my answer is alignment, alignment to truth, and alignment to love. And if I can stay in that, then I don't have to worry about the other. But I feel like that's this great stretching, this great growing that's happening right now, that in spite of, maybe you don't have any of those thoughts, but in spite of all those thoughts and all those ideas and all that smallness and all that self-judgment and all that picking on yourself, you go, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And stepping into that. And that feels really beautiful to teach salsa dance this morning, not wearing the right thing, not fixing my hair, not practicing, just like, who freaking cares? What the world needs now is love, and I am love. I am love.
Boom. What
no
the
matter
world needs now is love, sweet love.
It's the only thing that there's just too little love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay.
There it is.
We can continue.
You see why I love this being so much. She's an angel bear. That love is powerful. Remember that love that you are, that's in you, is very strong. It's a very formidable opponent to any type of fear.
And it gets stronger every time that fear tries to come.
Yeah, it's magnanimous love.
Aww.
I think you made your mama cry too. So I've been thinking a lot about how can I show up and serve you? Something easy, something simple, something potent. And so it's about breathing, and we did promise that we were going to teach you some breathwork techniques that are incredible. And we're going to segue into that. So where this is coming from is a couple of things that have happened in my life learning about the breath. The first is it's the great elixir that calms your whole nervous system. When your breath is off, everything is off. Your breath is like a pump, that the breath mechanism, if you will, the diaphragmatic breath, that you had that natural breath as a baby. When you're in flow, your breathing is rhythmic and beautiful. When you're in stress and fear, it's up here, and there's worry and disconnect. So dropping in, if you will, and sinking down into the deep belly breath is so powerful. But that's just the beginning. Now, I know that a lot of people, that's something for them to still work on because they're shallow breathers. And if you're a shallow breather, that means that your lungs work a lot. And there's probably not as much lung capacity or lung strength.
Almost like a flexibility
like
in
working
someone.
a muscle. Yeah, you're actually over breathing, and what that means is the lungs are working harder to get the oxygen diffused into your bloodstream that you need, because you're not doing the deep breath that's filling the lower lobes of the lungs. And this may not be you. You might be a deep diaphragmatic breather. That's great. I still have something for you today. But if you have more worry and shortness of breath right now, then let's reverse that. Let's relax this area and let the breath really seep deep down in, because through the lungs, the oxygen is transported into the bloodstream. And blood actually, by the Qigong masters, energy masters, says that blood is what carries the Qi. Okay? So my estimation of that is when you're breathing in, we say to inspire. What are we doing? We're bringing in spirit. Spirit is life. Spirit is life force, source force. So you are drawing in life force
So
when you breathe.
you're going to show them an exercise in a minute they can do?
I am. I'm setting it up for you.
I'm
selling you on it. Because you need to be motivated. I need to be motivated to practice something. Just because you jump on a live stream or you read an article or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. But if you really get why it works and what it could do for you, chances are it's going to stick, right? So When you draw in breath, you're also drawing in life force. We know that when the body stops having breath, you're done. Termination. Stamp. Game over. So it would be a really good idea to get as much life force in your body as possible. So go ahead and place your hand on your lower belly for a minute. And I'm going to stand up so you can see. We'll just put my hands right here. And I'm breathing in through my nose. And I'm just noticing, do my hands move while I'm breathing? Like this. Now, if you're not feeling much movement there, try this one. Put one hand here and one hand here and take your breath and ask yourself or look, which one's moving most? And if it's this one up here, that means you're a chest breather. And we want, chest breathing's not bad, but if you don't have full breath, then you're over breathing. So that I was about to explain over breathing is this is moving faster because it's trying to get that oxygen into the body.
It's almost like overworking a heart.
Yeah. And it's causing you to spin faster in your head because the faster our breaths, the faster the mind. Also, over breathing causes an imbalance in the oxygen in your body. It's causing her to breathe deep.
I just yawned.
This imbalance in the oxygen and carbon dioxide ratio can mess with your pH. Your blood has a particular pH. And so it can cause you to have more acidity in your body, which is not healthy.
Yeah, you want to be more alkaline.
Yeah, an acidic body is a breeding ground for disease. So you want more oxygenated blood. And so you get that from breathing, not just to here, but all the way down. So one thing you can do to practice this is if you're not feeling this movement here as much, you push in. So you breathe out and push your hands in. Now keep them in for a moment and now breathe in and see if you can feel some light pressure on your hands. Now as you start to feel that, release your hands and let your breath keep going. It'll give you a little Buddha belly for a minute. And I'm going to help you fix that. And this is like layer one of what I want to show you today. Okay, so try that again. Breathe in.
I do this in the morning before I get out of bed.
Now breathe out through your mouth and tone your tummy and pull it in a little and feel like it's coming upward. And that upward, gentle, internal contraction is going to start pushing extra stale breath out of your lungs.
Yeah.
Okay? So breathe in again, and this time feel like as it goes into your tummy, it really is slow and deep. Now keep breathing and see if you can fill yourself up so much that you feel your chest expand second, not first. Now you might get a little lightheaded at first or start to yawn because you're giving your body more oxygen and it's recalibrating. Actually, it's going to affect your nervous system. This type of deep breath work will put you into what's known the parasympathetic nervous system state, which is what you want. That's the rest and digest and the ease and the flow state. But this is honestly just layer one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about when your body thinks it's choking and maybe you cough, it's your body's way of trying to pull that lower ab in and expel something, right? The body has a few times when you sneeze, it's like so full, but sometimes like it's really trying to push everything out.
And that's a good thing.
Even when you vomit, even though that's from the stomach, you can still feel that it's using everything to force it out.
That's right. That's great. It's getting that stale, stagnant air out. So that's why you actually use the muscles on the exhale to draw in and push up. And you can even make it a little bit more forceful. Go like this. Breathe in. A little stronger. Fill. Now breathe out.
Beth says they teach this to all their singers.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I bet they do. Breathe in again. Now purge the breath out. Suck this in. Now just relax and take natural breaths and watch. I bet your belly starts to move on its own. And do you notice that your mind and your whole system start to calm? Now, I want to read you I've got a couple pieces to this.
All right.
Do we have time?
Yeah.
You guys good with this? Because I want to also
Well, if
show
you
you.
have to go, we'll just keep hanging out.
I want to show you 2 reasons to do these breathing techniques.
Great.
The first is strengthen your lung capacity now, just because it's really good for your body. A well-oxygenated body lives longer. It helps balance the pH. It clears brain fog. It gets more life force into your system. It's good on every level.
And if something does get in you, people that breathe shallow, it can kind of settle at the bottom like sediment. But if you do breathe in this way, if something goes inside, you are also expelling fully and completely. You're not leaving where sometimes we do Qigong in the morning at Turtle Dojo. During the winter, sometimes the pond, it looks a little stale.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want that. You don't want that muck at the bottom of your lungs. You want to expel all of it intentionally at times. And what that also does is it sort of creates a vacuum so that when you do inhale, it really and expands fully.
I'm getting some great feedback about this breathing has helped Ellen, with her COPD and finds herself
awesome
breathing better from this. And I've got more for you coming. So this is like in martial arts and singing, like this is 101 training.
Right.
You learn to breathe with your diaphragm. You go back to your original breath, the way you breathe as a baby. So it's just stress and fear and worry that causes us to get stuck up here. But now, like Sabrina's saying, if we get this mechanism working, the diaphragm and the lungs purging better, you've got a better system for clearing and cleansing out toxins and dis-ease. So we want to develop this strength now, okay, before something compromises this area. Now let's say that this area was compromised and it was tight and constricted. I don't know if you've done much studying about what the coronavirus does, but I've got some different studies pulled up here that we could read if we need to. But it causes a shallowness of breath. No? Okay, the CV. So it causes a constriction, and there's many different metabolic things happening in the body with the organs and the immune system working. But one of the things that happens is people panic because there's so much shallowness of breath, and they need the ventilator just to help the oxygen get into the body. Well, years ago, I read a book, and I think I can put the cover of the book up here for you. I think you'll find this interesting. It was by a gentleman named Joe Himes. And Joe Himes actually was a client of mine. He was a martial artist. And as a young man, I was detailing cars for different people. One of them was the guy who did all the stunt work for the Karate Kid. So I detailed his car. And this guy that wrote this book, Zen in the Art of Martial Arts, Joe Himes. And so this book has a really cool chapter in it. And I've got the chapter, and I think you trying to grab the book?
I'm trying to look like I'm holding it.
I might be able to actually read a little bit of what's inside the book, because I think you'll find this really fascinating and helpful. So it turns out that in 1972, he was on holiday with his wife. They were in Europe, and something happened. He felt an agonizing pain in his abdomen while they were traveling. Soon his whole body ached with excruciating pain, and he recounts this story. Within an hour, I was writhing on the seat, intermittently lapsing into unconsciousness. My teeth chattered, my body convulsed with coughing attacks. And I had to ask my wife, who was fortunately driving, for a tissue so I could keep wiping my lips. I was too weak. So this whole thing went on. Later, there was blood. So we won't get into all of that. But he says that what happened was he had a moment where he realized, I know a breathing technique that I learned from my martial art teacher. He had studied with Bruce Lee. He had studied with Ed Parker, the man who taught Elvis martial arts. He trained with these really high-level people. And he was really into Zen. And that's why he has this book that I just showed you the cover, Zen Art of Martial Arts. Or what is it called? Zen in the Martial Arts. So he says, I concentrated on my breathing. I regulated my breathing by taking deep belly breaths. The stomach goes out during this inhalation. He was holding it for 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then he was expelling with force the air, just like we've been talking about right now. I repeated the process until I settled into a relaxed belly breathing that required my concentration, so I had to focus.
Yeah.
And inhaling through my mouth, and we won't get into the technique per se.
It's really good for, it sounds like panic attacks.
Yep.
And I was in Trader Joe's shopping on the phone, heard some news a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't believe my body started shaking. I was talking to you. I didn't like the news that I got. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to pick up these tomatoes, and my body was shaking from information.
Right.
Right? So words came, sounds came, information came, and I interpreted it, believed it to mean something, caused a physical reaction of shortness of breath and shaking, and had to choose no.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's what he's saying is he got scared. And the fear in his mind, imagine if you had something going on in your lungs or your body, especially the fear adds to the tightness and the compression. So you can actually make everything worse because of the fear.
Yep.
And he says that the more I concentrated on my breathing, the more, I love this word, immune I became to the fear that I'm dying. Within a few minutes, I was in control of myself and my body again.
Yep.
Right? So this here is the power of you being able to control your breath. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up. And that's
is almost
powerful,
the power of choice that I was talking about earlier, where for me, I always say there's a line, and on that side of the line is panic and anxiety, and I have to stay on this side. And when I can control my breath, I get to choose which side of the line I'm on. It's when I'm out of control of my breath and my body, I actually become out of control of my thoughts. And when my thoughts take me somewhere, it's through my body that I can usually get back.
So I've got one more story for you and technique. This is by one of my students, Gene Smithson. This is an incredible book. Both of these books you can find on Amazon. And I think you should get them because they're worth reading. But this one in particular, Gene trained with me for many, many years. I consider him one of the world's best martial artists. He really is phenomenal. Now, Gene was shot. He's a firearms instructor. He's been a soldier. He's a Qigong ninja. He trains in a Russian martial art called Sistema. He's high level. Very intelligent.
Shot with guns.
Yeah, he was shot by one gun 5 times on a range. He was on a special ops course. Somebody came around a corner, didn't know he was there, and he got bang, 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 shot. And so in his book, he has many exercises for breathing. And there's one in here and he told me about it, and I read the book, and I was like, this is fascinating. And it's fascinating because he survived being shot 5 times. And the EMS...
Not grazed 5 times, really.
Through his body,
shot.
through his belly, through his leg. Like, it's gnarly. You may not be able to see. He shows you here on this. There's little dots of light. Those
I know,
are the
I thought
5
it was
areas.
stars, but those are the 5 areas he was shot.
That's where he was shot.
Yeah.
So...
He's the guy, Rita, that comes in to teach right after me in the mornings at the physical dojo.
So he is talking about breathing around an obstruction. So the reason I want to do this is the first breath I showed you is to strengthen the lungs. So we're breathing all the way down in the belly, and I want to make sure that this was clear. So as you breathe into the belly, then you keep breathing, and now let the lungs fill all the way to the bottom. So here's what's going on with your diaphragm. Your diaphragm actually is a muscle that pulls down like that, and it's like a pump. And as this happens, it sucks air in like a vacuum.
Like
and it's
an accordion.
pulling air. Yeah. So as this breath capacity... Oh, okay. So as this is working, it's pulling more breath in here. So you're not breathing just down here, down in the tummy. You're actually breathing using the muscle better. You're not using the rib cage muscles to breathe, although that's movement can breathe you. You're using the lower belly muscle to pull more oxygen all the way in. So when you feel the breath here,
there you go.
You keep going, and you feel this start to expand now. And then breathe out and suck in and up. You just got so much more breath than you've ever had before. And that's going to expand your lung capacity.
Yeah. And that oxygenates the blood. I mean, it is a domino effect of the benefits of breathing fully, correctly, and properly.
Right. So the second scenario is, let's say, like Gene, he got shot, bang! And he said that all the areas in the body when you get shot, shut down and lock down. And he had been taught a breathing technique by his Russian martial art teacher to breathe through areas that are in constriction. And so because everything was shutting down, and that's affecting his brain and body connection.
He was dying.
He was dying. He learned how to breathe into and through the areas that were tight, like they were cracks, like sand or dry dirt, and he was filling them up with fresh, healing liquid and getting rid of the cracks. So he was really drawing more oxygen through these constricted channels so that the body could keep breathing. So let's say you've got constriction and compression going on here.
In your lungs.
In your lungs.
Shortness of breath.
You can still do what we're talking about. Like that other man, Joe Himes, you can breathe down in the tummy, and you can now visualize energy flowing through and getting past the cracks or where it feels stuck. Like if you had a ventilator trying to breathe for you, you would have this greater capacity. So just place a hand here on your heart and one on your tummy. And I want you to just, with your mind, soften everything. And I'm going to read to you a little bit that Gene wrote about how to breathe. Okay? So just feel like you're breathing through this area, but the oxygen is like liquid love. And it's getting through this and helping heal this. And I want you to visualize the liquid love as golden white light. Mm-hmm. That's helping to cleanse and heal anything that's off.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's an incredible example of the power of mental focus.
It's mental.
Combined with using the body. That whole body, mind aligned is the key.
I'm going to read a little bit, and this should help you. As I lay on the ground struggling to comprehend what was happening to me, I was having difficulty breathing. When bullets strike and pass through your body, they don't just make a hole. They hit with so much energy that a shock wave is created, a track of displacement and trauma that can be as deadly as the actual path of the bullet through flesh. An aneurysm is a bulge in an artery caused by weakness in the arterial wall. When you're shot, where I was, an aneurysm is a real threat. I'll go through this. He said, my body's response to the shock waves was to create what felt like puzzle pieces of tension, areas of tightness and swelling. I felt these spaces as obstructions where I couldn't breathe. I was experienced in breathing and around obstructions from my martial art training, and so this was a real-time, real-world extreme test of my ability to apply this breathing. I practiced a martial art called Sistema. I told you about that. We do drills designed to help a person learn to breathe through tiny openings, visualize tiny openings into tiny spaces to avoid panic and maintain emotional control under massive distress. These drills are illustrated and explained throughout this book. This is why I think you guys should look into this book. He says, my experience of breathing into those first shocked and muddy moments was that my body was like hard-packed, dry, cracked earth. The only places to breathe and that I could move breath through was those tiny little cracks in the earth. The breath would go in like water, finding a small crease or crack, and travel down into my lungs and my body, delivering life-saving oxygen. As soon as I would exhale, the seams or cracks would seal up and shift, and each inhale was a search for some new small place where to breathe. And he continued this until he was able to be in a safe space. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more in here. That's just the beginning.
And Gene is just like a normal guy. Like, just so you know, he doesn't have, he didn't go to writing school. He's not an author and like, oh, good, I got shot, I'll write a book about it. Nothing like that. So hearing his story and knowing him for decades is very, very powerful.
He's a sweet soul. This has got a lot in it. It geeks out. If you like understanding how things work, yes. He's a very high IQ. So it's not just some martial art thug fighter telling you, breathe through it, man. No, he goes deep. So it's pretty cool.
You want to get
Pretty
that
cool.
off.
Yeah. All right. That being said, breathe soft, know where to breathe from, know how to visualize, and cause that relaxation so that you can turn off the panic and get back into that. Everything's going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. We just don't know. I'm a martial artist since I was young, and I've always wanted to know if something happened to me, if I was attacked, I at least had tools in my toolbox. I have a fighting chance. I see myself moving, me in particular, moving from being a self-defense instructor to being a health defense instructor. And I know that these breathing techniques can heal back pain, and I'm pretty sure from the two people who just said that it saved their life, it could really help all of us.
Yeah. It's a, well, you said self-defense, health defense. I'm going to say mental defense. For me, I remember I was started to compete in ballroom dancing, and the couples line up to go on the floor. You know, the floor is wooden and you're on the carpet. You're not on the floor, usually in like these huge hotels, and you stand with your partner, and then there are these velvet ropes, and you know they're going to call your number and usually the leader's name. Welcome to the dance floor, and you have to go and twirl and curtsy and bow and then move to a place on the stage, on the floor, and they are going to play a song, and you don't know what song they're going to play. You know that it's going to be a waltz, and then they're going to play a song that you don't know called a foxtrot, and they're going to go through 5 dances, and all the couples that are competing, not only do they have to do their choreography, but they have to not run into each other, which means all of the leaders are going to make stuff up. So you have to go on the floor. You don't know the song. You don't know if your leader's going to lead you well. You don't know if you're going to run into anybody.
A lot of uncertainty here.
And I would see all the dancers getting ready, and they would be like, in the men in their tuxedos jumping up and down, and the girls doing all this stuff. And for me personally, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, my heart rate's already way too fast. When I can't be in charge of my breathing, my legs shake, my heels shake, my ankles shake. I'm off balance. I'm not aware. Like with the 360, I'm not going to be able to hear that physical lead. So it was a really always funny experience for me, seeing everyone else like hyping themselves up. And I would just be there like, slow down. Because I knew the slower I could get, the more centered I could get, the more ready I was. I was going to be faster than anybody else. I was going to be more charismatic than anybody else. I was going to follow that lead. For me, if I could get so into center, because when I'm in center with that breath, I really feel like I see 360 and I feel 360. When I'm in that shallow breath and feel that constriction and that fear, I don't see much, because I'm imagining so much fear that there isn't much room left for reality.
There's another technique. We don't really have time tonight. We've already gone kind of way over, but I'm going to put it on the back burner.
Let's do it next week.
Let's do it next week, or you can bring me into one of your new groups if you want.
Look, he already wants to guest star.
Well, it's such a great connection tool. There's a
he wants on my show. He wants to be the first guest.
Can I be the first guest on your show? It's called reverse breathing, and I'd love to teach it to your people.
I would love that. Okay,
so if you want to get some of Sabrina's gifts and some of her awesome tips on business.
Tell them what they are. So about a week and a half ago, I wrote a meditation called Choose Clarity, how to have certainty and clarity in uncertain times. I wrote it for myself. I recorded it for myself. It's really beautiful. And we put music under it, and it's a free gift for everyone. I thought that could really help everyone right now. It's under 10 minutes. And then I started filming little 5 and 7 minute movement things, maybe some dance, maybe some cardio, arms without weights, arms with weights, keep people moving, keep people happy. So just, I feel like right now it's a great time to offer things body, being, and business, because my passion is really helping people kind of find their purpose, and then how to share that and share their gifts with the world so that they feel like they've had an amazing life. So that's what the Connection Tribe is.
Really cool.
If you want to come over there and see what's
I'll
happening.
give you a link if you want.
What is it?
It's Connection Method. We're the Connection Method and the Satori Method. They're really aligned, but this one's more to move into business. So connectionmethod.com/gifts. There's lots of gifts there for you. It's really a beautiful community. But now I'll come in. It sounds like I get to be a guest star, so I'll teach another breathing technique.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, this morning we went live and talked about kind of like basic dance movements and salsa, and how it's about moving the spine. The feet are only moving to keep you from falling, and really fun way. And then the parallel to that was how to use props and tools when other people are teaching to really embed the information, because the people that saw that live, or if you watch the recording, you'll understand things in a completely different way because of the visuals and the joking around about this is home, right?
It's really good.
It's funny.
All right, thanks everybody. We're gonna dance it out like you do. What kind of music
Thank you
is it
so
gonna
much
be?
for attending live. And those of you who are in the Qigong certification, we have our first live session with you this weekend. I know a couple of people asked if they could still get in. We said as long as you got in before, I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, you still can. So email us our messages. You, Bonnie, Black, and a couple who were in it.
Thank you. Love you. Thanks for being part of this beautiful tribe.
Social connection in a time of physical distancing. Hey, you know what you didn't see? This down here.
Oh, the taco. Taco.
Oh, here
The
he
taco.
is.
Hi. Hello, Yogananda. He was asleep. He's like,
What's going on, man?
Hi, everyone.